From Wish TV and the All Indiana Podcast Network, this is the News 8 Daily 8 Podcast with Wish TV's Kylie Conway. A Wish TV News 8 update.
Hi, I'm Kylie Conway, and this is your News 8 Daily 8 for Friday, February 18th. Keep the heavy winter coat on hand today. It is going to be cold all day long with highs in the upper 20s to mid 30s. Tomorrow's going to be a cold day, too. At least it will stay dry. A man and his dog are safe this morning after a rescue from flooding. The East Madison Fire Territory is who responded to it. A dive team pulled out the pair. They were in a swamp section of County Road near Moonville, about halfway between Anderson and Muncie. Firefighters are using the scare to remind everyone not to drive into high water. In White County, the name Maya is spelled out on a fence at Twin Lakes High School. It's to honor junior Maya Thompson. The school confirms she and her mother, Stephanie Thompson, were the two people found dead in a fire in Monticello. Stephanie Thompson was a former coach at the school. No word yet on what caused the fire. The school says it has a crisis intervention team, including counselors, to help students, staff, parents, and friends cope with the tragedy. Local school districts are preparing for changes as the state rolls out new COVID-19 guidance. Beginning Wednesday, schools will no longer have to conduct contact tracing. They won't have to report positive cases to the state or quarantine students who are exposed regardless of vaccination status. Those who do test positive can return after 5 days if they haven't had a fever in the past 24 hours without the use of medication. This all essentially ends any incentive schools have to require masks. Carmel Clay schools say that they will follow the new guidance. Noblesville School says they'll adopt most of the guidance. IPS says it is sticking with its own guidance listed on its website that allows only close contacts who are vaccinated to avoid quarantine, and mask wearing will continue, for example. The state is also shutting down the COVID-19 testing and vaccine clinic at the IMS next Saturday. The Indiana National Guard will also leave hospitals and long-term care facilities on March 14th. Today, Purdue University makes masks optional in most places, including basketball games and other sporting events. The rule change applies indoors and outside, with some exceptions. Some research, instructional, and healthcare settings will still require them. Many other schools, states, and local governments are adjusting mask rules as well. Purdue says it will continue its COVID-19 testing program through at least March. Another outbreak of bird flu has IT-Mate hitting the road to southern Indiana, where avian flu has now hit a third turkey farm. The newest outbreak is in Greene County, not far from the first two in Du Bois County. Officials have ordered the farms to put down more than 103,000 turkeys to keep the virus from spreading. Our Richard Essex reports authorities believe the strain of bird flu in southern Indiana has not jumped to humans in the United States, but has elsewhere. Indiana is the country's third largest turkey producer. Richard also investigated what goes into an investigation like this. You can see his full report online right now under the As Seen on Wish TV section of wishtv.com. The FDA has a warning for parents of babies. Don't use some packages of the most popular powdered formulas. They come from Abbott Nutrition under the brands Similac, Alimentum, and Elecare. Officials say they may be contaminated with dangerous bacteria. The FDA has confirmed 4 cases of illness that required hospitalization and 1 death. The FDA says you should avoid using formula if the first 2 digits on the code on it are between 22 and 37, and the expiration date is April 2022 or later. For more details, grab your phone and go to wishtv.com. You'll find this story under the As Seen on Wish TV section. Also, the code has to have K8, SH, or Z2 in it. So all of that, you'll find it at wishtv.com. Thousands of new cars could burn or sink, adding to supply chain stress that has left many dealerships empty, nearly empty. A cargo ship full of Porsches and Volkswagens is on fire and floating through the Atlantic Ocean. Authorities say the boat caught fire on Wednesday during a trip from Germany to Rhode Island. According to the Portuguese Navy, all 22 crew members were rescued and taken to a nearby hotel. The ship's owners say they're working to get a tow for the still burning boat. Brown County schools are clearing up confusion surrounding a letter sent to parents that made national headlines. The district says students cannot opt out of Black History Month lessons. Superintendent Emily Tracy says a Sprunica Elementary School counselor wrote an unauthorized letter telling parents that opting out was an option. Our IT-Mate first told you about the controversial letter earlier this week. Tracy shared a statement yesterday with News 8 saying, in part, "We apologize for the confusion caused by the letter and offer our assurances that that Brown County Schools is committed to providing an inclusive educational environment for all students and families. A man from Alabama faces federal charges for a fire in Connorsville. A grand jury indictment names Tommy Lee Harrison. Prosecutors say he traveled to Indiana to start a fire October 28th or 29th. The announcement outlined the charges, does not say where the fire happened, but it was the same time frame of the fire at the home of City Council member Tommy Williams. That fire got the attention of federal authorities because Williams is the only black member of the council and says whoever did it also spray painted a racial slur on his house. A bill to keep the government running is headed to President Biden's desk this morning. The Senate voted to pass the measure last night ahead of today's shutdown deadline. The House passed it last week. The bill extends funding through March. Lawmakers are working on a deal to create a broader full-year spending package. There's no word yet on when that could be ready. And President Biden will host a call with NATO allies as he warns that Russia could invade Ukraine within days. The U.S. Senate passed a resolution condemning Russia's aggressive actions last night. It was a symbolic move after a Senate Republican bill failed that would have imposed sanctions and other consequences in the event of an invasion. NATO allies rejected Russia's assertions it was pulling back troops. Russia is believed to have some 150,000 troops near Ukraine's borders. The Kremlin insists it has no plans to invade. Today, critical conversations about Ukraine. President Biden is set to talk by phone with several top allies, and Vice President Kamala Harris will meet in person with Ukraine's president. They'll discuss the Russian troop buildup, the possibility of an invasion, and likely the new shelling in a section of Ukraine often troubled by violence. There are some new images from a region that show kindergartens damaged by shelling. The Ukrainian government says rebels backed by Russia launched the attack. The rebels claim Ukrainian forces fired on them. Secretary of State Antony Blinken is warning that Russia may stage a violent event as a reason to invade Ukraine. Vice President Harris is set to meet with Ukraine's leader at a summit happening in Munich, Germany. The IRS is bringing in a second surge team to address its massive tax filing backlog. The agency says the pandemic is causing the backlog. Mandatory overtime for employees has been implemented. It also moved about 1,200 people to entry-level clerical positions. The IRS says those people will now manually file paperwork and answer phones. And IT Mate is digging into the rise of line jumping in calls to the IRS. Our team learned some private tax services are using a robocall system to dial the IRS, to get on hold, to then charge customers to jump on the call just before customer service picks up, saving them a long wait. IT Mate has been looking into call trouble with the IRS for weeks. In January, we reported that only 11% of the 282 million calls to the IRS were answered. The new revelations of people paying to get connected have others extremely frustrated.
It's completely unfair for someone who isn't in a situation financially to do that. That again, we are penalized for that. And I'm concerned. Is it going to be the same situation this time as it was last year?
The line jumping is getting the attention of Congress. Some lawmakers say paying to get preferential access should not be allowed. And it is the end of an era for one of IU's most recognizable voices. The voice of Chuck Crabb is one of the many pieces that have made up the rich history of IU basketball. Crabb is calling it a career after 45 years. Our Olivia Ray spoke to him one-on-one about the decision.
Being in this venue, a chill just kind of went over me. I wouldn't know where to start. I mean, I enjoyed the 29 years so much of Bob Knight at this institution and had about 24 of those where I was behind the microphone. Being the public address announcer here has been a true joy.
I pretended that he was announcing my name as a 6'2" sophomore in the driveway growing up. He's just part of the soundtrack of our lives and just a remarkable legacy.
For nearly 5 decades, the voice of Chuck Crabb has enriched Indiana athletic events. And by his math,
800 and almost 50 games, 400 plus women's games, 130 football games that I announced for 26 years, and the track and field, my involvement I've had with the cheerleading program. It's going to be the people, Olivia, that I'm going to miss so greatly.
Along with Crabb's unmatched devotion to his Hoosiers, another skill that made him so brilliant behind the mic was his ability to pick up on sometimes the less obvious signs unfolding in front of him. And that's the simple way to explain why his decision to retire came so suddenly.
Kind of the clincher was within the last 2 weeks, 26-year colleague and friend, dear friend, John Harmon, passed away. He was the sound and light technician for this building and other athletics locations. And with that, I heard so many people come up to his wife and say, it's just a shame he didn't have a chance to retire and be with you. That made me think long and hard. I'll always be greatly indebted to being a part of this house.
After 45 years of sharing his iconic voice with Hoosier fans, a staple was missing from the scores table here in Assembly Hall this February. Chuck Crabb has officially retired as the public address announcer of Indiana, but he did so without a formal goodbye. So if given the chance to sign off one last time, here's what Chuck would have to say in his mic.
I would thank them for their love of allowing me to be the eyes that would see a game for them. I'll greatly miss Hoosier Nation. I'm a part of it, proud alumnus, and will look forward to cheering on Indiana as much as I possibly can. And as I would close, I would say it's all for the glory of Old IU.
And Indiana is all for you. Chuck, enjoy retirement. Olivia Ray, Wish TV, wishtv.com, and follow us on Facebook.
This has been your News 8 Daily 8 for Wish TV. I'm Kylie Conway. Online at wishtv.com and follow us on Facebook when you search Wish TV.
This is the News 8 Daily 8 podcast with Wish TV's Kylie Conway. A Wish TV News 8 update on demand. For even more, on demand and on the go. Connect with Wish TV on Facebook at wishtv.com and on the free Wish TV mobile app. Thank you for listening. And be sure to like, subscribe, and follow this podcast for updates every weekday morning on the All Indiana Podcast Network and wherever you get your podcast.